Welcome to the Golden Age of Cardboard podcast, where we remember a time when stacks of cards were held together with rubber bands and Mickey Mantles were put in bike spokes. We hope you will enjoy and reminisce as you come along with us as we tell stories about the baseball cards from the Golden Age of Baseball. We will examine the state of the vintage baseball card market and talk to some of the greatest collectors in the hobby. You won't be hearing us talk about any chrome or shiny cards here. Now, to take you on this retrospective journey, here's your host, direct from the shallow end of the gene pool, my son, Mike Moynihan.
Yo and hello everybody, and welcome to another great episode of the Golden Age of Cardboard podcast. I know it has been a couple of weeks. I don't have a lot of good excuses. I do have some excuses. Those are, I was in London and then I got home and I immediately had the flu, and I'm still getting over that 2 weeks later. Had a kind of a respite period and then a relapse. And so I'm still kind of getting over all of that. But man, it is time to start talking about the National. By the time this episode airs, we will be about 2 months away, about 60 days away from the show. And it's time to start talking about it. This will not be my last discussion about it, whether it's on this podcast or my regular channel, Baseball Collector, in regular videos. But I figured this would be the video where I just kind of go through all the ins and outs of the National, talk about what's different this year, and talk about it with one of my best friends in the hobby, truly, honestly, one of my best friends, period. And that's Andy. She blinded me with refractors. Yeah, I know.
That was very touching. It's
not mutual, but that's okay. It's all good.
it's mutual. Come on now.
And what's cool, a couple cool things. Number one, for those of you that have been following Golden Age for a long time, Andy was on the very first episode of the Golden Age of Cardboard and several after that, but he has not made an appearance on this show in quite a while. So he was long overdue to make a return appearance, just like the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to make a return appearance in the playoffs to the NBA Finals. Have they ever been to the NBA Finals?
We have been one time, yeah. Back when we had, Durant, Westbrook, Harden.
Gotcha.
So
when you were good, and now you're good again.
We've been good.
Yeah, pretty good. I'm excited for you, Andy. I'd love to see a title come your way, and it
would be something.
It'd be pretty epic for Oklahoma City, like just the city.
Yeah.
They're the only team, so it's like this is it. This is what we get. They better do well, right? So
Thunder basketball and Oklahoma Sooners football kind of rule this state as far as sports goes. So everybody's all in. So hopefully the players are as well. I think they are. So
have you gone to any games?
Yeah.
In the playoffs this year?
I haven't been to any playoff games.
Okay.
The last game I went to, I think we played the Lakers was the last one. I would like to go, but it's expensive, the playoffs.
Well, I mean, you're single, no kids. What do you have to spend your money on? It's not cards, but we'll talk about that later too.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about that.
Another cool thing about Andy and I's friendship is the first time we ever met in person was at a National.
Correct.
That would have been 18, maybe.
Yeah, it was 2018. I believe was that in Cleveland?
It was.
Yeah.
2018 in Cleveland. You were with Moeller.
Right.
And Double X the Beast, who's also Andy's very good friend and my friend and great dude. And I didn't know you at all. And you came up and said, "Hi, Mike, I'm Andy." And I'm like, okay.
You're like, cool.
Nice to meet you. And little did had I known where we would be today, I would have been a lot nicer to you. I apologize.
It's not that you weren't nice, but I mean, it's just like you said, we didn't really know each other at all. I mean, like I had seen you on YouTube and no one had seen me. anywhere. So,
And then where did it go from there? How did we become friends? Like, I'm trying to figure out where it went from there.
that's a good question. I don't really know. I can't. Is that bad for both of us? Because I mean, it hasn't.
Probably.
I mean, it's only been like 7 years ago. That's like,
Yeah, that's a lot of time. I mean, we've been together a lot in 7. Like, I've been to more shows with you. I've spent more hotel evenings with you than anyone else. You've been to my house more than anyone else. You've eaten my wife's cooking more than anyone else. Norman calls you Uncle Andy. Like, I don't know. You're like family, right? So it's weird that we can't connect the dot. I can do the same with Garrett, though. I can't remember how Garrett and I actually became friends. So
yeah. Well, I mean, let's be honest. He's pretty forgettable. So
I just can't. I'm not connecting the dots. It doesn't really matter. What matters?
no, but you would think out of two great minds like ourselves, we would be able to maybe remember something. But
you would think all these people are like they're supposed to be talking about the national, and they're not. But hey,
it
we're
always goes off
reminiscing.
the rail.
Another cool fact, if you don't know, Andy and I both attended our first national in the same year.
Correct.
And that would
1990.
be all the way back in 1990.
Yeah, I
in
was 11
Arlington,
years old.
Texas. And I was not 11 years old. I was 16 years old at that national. God, that's a long time ago. That was my first national. It was your first national. And then I didn't go to another national until 2016. But you went before. You've been going since how long?
So after the 1991, I think the next one I went to was like 2007, 2006, something like that.
So
Yeah.
it was a while for you too. Much longer for me. But you've now been to how many? Just so people can gauge our experience. And when we talk about this, we come from it with experience.
I would say 15, maybe something like that.
Okay. So a decade now, minus COVID year, right? But
a decade and a half worth.
yeah, I did 16. Then I skipped to 18. And then I've done from 18, I've done every one that has existed since. So I think this will be my 9th total, if I do that math right. It's probably your 17th or something like that.
Like 15th, maybe something like that.
That's a lot
total. Yeah.
And it's cool because it really hasn't changed at all in that whole time, right? I mean, it's basically the same show. I mean,
yeah, it's a little different. I think we'll probably talk about some of the differences, right?
I hope so. Let me give you guys some basics real quick on the show. It is in Chicago this year at the Rosemont Center, I guess. What do they call it? The
Donald Stevens Convention Center.
There you go. But it's in Rosemont, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, right by the airport, right by O'Hare. I'm looking at the clock right now. There's a clock on the website, which is, by the way, nsccshow.com, nsccshow.com. All your information that you ever wanted to know and stuff you probably don't care about is there on that website. And it runs this year from Wednesday, July 30th through Sunday, August 3rd. So, where to start, Andy?
Let me ask you a question first, since you brought that up, like the clock and everything. So is that where you always get your information, that you'll send the text where you'll be like, oh, it's only 165 days until the national?
I don't know what's sad. More sad is, I was going to say sadder, but that's not a word. What's more sad is if I use the clock that they have, or that I have my own national clock on my my deal.
That having your own's way sadder.
Yeah.
More sad. Sorry, more sad.
More sad is that. So I know that it's 2 months, 1 day, 4 hours, 2 minutes and 57, 56, 55 seconds until we are at the show. We both go on Tuesday, Although you're not going Tuesday this year, I don't think. Are you?
That's a good question. I know I'm not going on Tuesday, but I don't know which day. I think I'm not sure if we're going Wednesday or Thursday, honestly.
Okay. Well, we'll get into, let's just go through the days maybe and what we like about it, what we don't like about it. But before we go through the days, let's bring up something that's a really burr in my saddle.
Ooh, I like it.
The way they did the hotels this year really pissed me off.
Yeah.
And that might be some self-inflicted pissed offness because maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I expected an email from them like we've gotten in previous years, like, hey, you can go reserve your room now. And it feels like so many more of, one of the great things about Chicago is the proximity of 5 or 6 hotels to the convention center. They're literally across the street. The convenience factor is off the charts for the Stevens Center. However, this year when I went to book my room, which was still incredibly earlier than I'd ever done it before, and all of those hotels were booked solid. I could not find a room in any of those hotels near the convention center. And I was irritated, to say the least. Agree?
I mean, I'll take it a step further. I mean, honestly, when you take that away, it might as well be in Cleveland for me. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, that's really the only difference.
Yeah, if you got to drive, you got to drive. You got to Uber or whatever, right? It doesn't matter if you're Ubering 2 miles or 10 miles. You still have to get an Uber and deal with that instead of just walking across the street. The convenience factor is eliminated, right?
Yeah, outside of, like, if you just take all of the stuff like outside of the show, like let's say you're going to go watch a baseball game or you want to do something in Chicago, but if you're just focusing on the show, that's really the only thing that differentiates it from anywhere else is the fact that it's so convenient. You can just walk here, walk there. If you have to be driving or getting Ubers, yeah, it's no different than Cleveland. So there's no advantage for me personally, like, of it being in Chicago versus Cleveland.
So is that a testament to, like, what does that say about the National? Is it because there's so many dealers, more dealers this year? They had to block off more rooms, so many more signers, so many more PSA people. What can we attribute to the lack of available rooms to the general public?
That's a good question, and I don't know because no one really talks about it. No one has said.
Once this new group took over 2 years ago, I was excited about, because I knew Joe and liked Joe. I still like him. I thought we were going to get a lot more transparency about the show. They'd been so tight-lipped for so long about just everything surrounding it. Attendance, you name it. If you had a question, there was a lot of, we can't tell you that answers. And I'd interviewed people about the show, insiders in the show, and it was a lot of, well, we're not really going to discuss that or whatever. And I hoped we would get more transparency with this new ownership group, and it's been worse, if I'm going to be honest. It feels much more restrictive, much more tight-lipped.
Yeah, it's gone from I can't answer that to don't ask me anything.
Yeah. And that bothers me. I mean, if you're wanting to be this mecca show for the hobby, and we'll get into that. That's a whole, man, this may be a long episode, guys, because Andy and I have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I
think I'll just say from my point of view, it might lean negative too.
In terms of how we feel about the show right now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So hard because it's always been such a great event. Like, I've loved going to the show to this point every year that I've gone.
Yeah.
Even Chicago 2 years ago when it was nuts to butts and it was packed, and I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. Every bit of it. Even the craziness, even the crowdedness, even the hot and the this and the that. It's just kind of like, man, but we're here at the show, right? I mean, and you're with your friends and all the things that make it wonderful. And I wonder if that's going to get sucked out of it. Truly.
Yeah. I also wonder that quite a bit, actually.
Okay, so hotels were hard. Hotels close were basically non-existent. I do know some guys that were able to get them because they just randomly went on and were able to log, hey, go get your hotel room announcement. I was not so lucky. I think we're all at the same hotel, but we're at the Sonesta that's like 1.6 miles away or something like that. It's
Like 3, I think. Close to 3.
Yeah, it's like a 5-minute Uber or whatever. But that's not the point. It's still a 5-minute Uber. I can't walk across the street. And one of the benefits of Chicago, as you've said, the convenience. Man, if you're tired in the middle of the day, and I'm telling people you should take breaks during the show. If you're there 3, 4, 5 days, believe me, you're going to get enough floor time. You can afford to go take a nap or go get off your feet and you want to go to your hotel room. I don't want to go sit in a VIP lounge that's not really VIP and, sit in hard convention chairs. I want to go lay on my bed or take a quick power nap or something. I can't do that being 3 miles away.
Yeah.
As easy. Theoretically, you can do it. It's going to be.
You can, but it's going to cost you about $20.
Right. To Uber back and forth. Right. And so look, we can piss and moan about this fact all we want as Claire decides to bark at someone walking down the street. But it's not going to change it. So let's move to the days. Let's talk about the days. So I love getting there on Tuesday during prep day. And I've been able to do that the last few years by having some friends in the hobby that I can get some passes and usually get in. They've become a lot more restrictive with that. And our friend Eric has bemoaned the point of the difficulty in acquiring dealer badges and stuff. Dealers used to be able to kind of get whatever they needed. I need 6 or I need 5 or whatever. And now it's you can only get so many per table and that's it. This is what you get and don't throw a fit. So you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, I don't like it. And some people may look at some of this stuff and be like, oh, well, yeah, you shouldn't, you guys have been lucky this whole time. You shouldn't have been getting them in the first place and this and that, whatever. And that, that very well may be true. But the fact of the matter is we were, and now we're not. So, of course, I'm not going to be happy about that. Like when you have like a show like this where you're used to it being this, and then like slowly just things start getting taken away. Like they talk about it's like people talk about how it's going to be a bigger and better show than ever. I'm like, I don't know in what way, and like for who? Because
and do we even want it to be bigger and better? We need to get into that because.
Well,
we
bigger
do sound mildly entitled a little bit, Andy. I'm going to admit that and own that and say, yeah, I like being able to go on Tuesday and get in the show on Wednesday at 8 a.m. and be there till the doors open to the public at 3. I like it. I kind of equate it. And again, I recognize how this sounds, and yet I still feel this way. So take it for what it is. It's like if you get to be in first class all the time flying an airplane, and then they say, look, sorry, man, you got to go back to coach. Even though I ride coach all the time now, I'm not used to first class. I don't even know what that's like. So I have no idea. I have nothing to compare it to. But man, if I'd sat in first class all the time and then I had to go back to coach, I'd be like, man, this kind of sucks back here. And there's plenty of people that fly coach. That's my analogy.
I mean, I guess the way that I look at it, people can say that, we sound entitled or whiny or whatever, but we've been going to this show for a long time when it wasn't nearly as popular. We were supporting it back then. And I know like you way more than me, obviously, but you have promoted the hell out of it over the years that you've been going. Like you put out videos every day And I mean, that's good for
Every
them.
day. Maybe that's a little well, yeah, okay.
No, I'm saying during the show.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
So you are promoting the show for them. And I mean, if that was your perk, like, because they weren't paying you. So if that was your perk, is getting a dealer pass from someone else that had one, I mean, that seems pretty fair to me, honestly.
My most
They're getting a lot of free
surreal
promotion out of it. So
my most surreal YouTube experience was at the National. And I don't know if you remember this, but 2019, it was Chicago, I believe. And we were walking around the show, and they had all these TVs, right, with promo stuff, and they were doing this. And I had gone back to my room, and I start getting, my phone starts blowing up. And I'm like, what's going on? They're like, dude, you're on here at the show. Like, they were showing Baseball Collector videos on every screen of me doing a video about the National. And it was like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't, but it was surreal that, okay, I'm just this little YouTube guy and I'm on the National. Like, how cool is, I was quite proud of that moment. Like, holy crap, this is neat. And so you're right. I do a lot to promote the show, and we had a few perks, not like crazy stuff, but we got to get in early and we got to do some things that, believe me, no one out there wouldn't trade our places. Like, they would all trade places with us. They would love to go early. Who wouldn't, right? I mean, it's pretty great. We call it magic time, when the floor is quiet and we can peruse all the booths without thousands and thousands of our closest friends hitting us with their backpacks and their Zion cases.
Yeah, but like back to the early days for us going to the show, it was like that all the time.
That's true, because it wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
There weren't Zion cases. They didn't even exist, back then.
Like, I would be curious to know, because I've seen some of the posts and different videos that I assume are people that are sponsored by the National, putting out these Road to the National videos and stuff. I wonder when was their first National, most of these people.
That's a great question.
Were any of them going prior to like 2021 or 2019? Probably
yeah,
not.
But I'll play the other side. I mean, just because we love the show and promote it doesn't mean we deserve anything, but they were willing to give it to us because we'd ask. And, it's like, well, okay, then.
Well, they weren't willing to, they didn't give us anything.
Well, I would ask for passes and stuff and get them.
Well, a lot of, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of the stuff was coming from like dealers, not really.
True. Them. We did have a lot of dealer friends that helped us out, and I can't name names, honestly. I'll get in trouble, but we had a lot of ways to get in that other people didn't have access to, truthfully. But okay, so I'm going to get there Tuesday. I'm going to have a pass to do that. And hopefully get to walk around the show and give people a preview of what the show is going to look like and walk around the floor. It's supposed to be much bigger this year, Andy. A lot more tables, 75 more tables ish is what I've heard, which means they're going to use multiple floors now. And it was pretty confusing last time in Chicago with all the different rooms versus what we had experienced previously in Chicago, which was basically one giant room. And then it got a bigger room when they added the carpeted area. And then they added the second area, and it just became massive.
It was very confusing. There was one room, I think, that I didn't even know was there for like the first couple of days.
Yeah. Well, now there's going to be a whole other floor. You may not even get to visit, with all these other dealers. And so it begs the question, let's finish the days and then I'll ask that question. The question. Okay. Wednesday's the preview day, which is usually a pretty fun day. It's my favorite day is Wednesday. I like to get my buying, as you well know, Andy, out of the way pretty early. I like to have all the cards to choose from that are kind of there and have my pick of the litter, so to speak. So this year, if I still need a 41 play ball Joe DiMaggio by the National, I want to see as many 41 play ball Joe DiMaggios as I can. And so I am going through trying to find one, and that fits my criteria of value, grade to cost, and all those things. So what the negative of that is, dealers are much less likely to deal that early in the show because they know there's going to be 100,000 more people coming, and therefore why would they sell it to me at a deal when they might have someone that'll pay full sticker at some point throughout the weekend? That's the price, that's the give and take. I'd still rather have the choices than Sunday waiting for a good deal and there's one left and it's not one I like or whatever, versus having 50 to choose from earlier in the week. Just throwing out numbers of an example, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's Wednesday, usually a fun day. It's a shorter day for the show. I think it's 3 to 8.
Something like 3 or 4 to 8 usually.
Yeah. And then you got early access and VIPs and all that. You can go to the website and find all the ticket information and access information and all that fun stuff. And you've got Thursday is usually kind of it is the first full day of the show. And it's kind of last year it felt like that was the busiest day, honestly, was Thursday, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Certainly felt that way. And again, we don't know attendance numbers, so I don't really know if that's true or not, but that's how it felt to me. It felt really busy on Thursday, which was great. Then I guess I'll announce it here for the first time. Thursday night of the show, which will be July 31st at 6 p.m. because the show ends at 6. So 6-ish, 6:15, we will be doing how many years in a row have we done the YouTube get together?
2019 was the first year, right?
19, that was in Chicago. Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
So 19, 21, 22, 23, 24. This will be the sixth year because that's skipping the COVID year.
Yeah.
6th year that we've done the YouTube get together, and it has grown and grown and grown and grown. Last year we did it at did it off-site because we had to at the VFW outpost. That was great. This year it's going to be at the Embassy Suites, which is where it's been the last 2 Chicago Nationals. The Embassy Suites is literally across the street from the front door to the Stevens Center. There will be pizza. We have a full sponsor this year, Andy. We're going to have signage. We're going to have all kinds of cool stuff. It's totally free. If you're hearing this video, you're hearing my voice, you hear someone else talk about it, you are invited to come. It's for content creators. It's for people that watch videos. It's for people that just want to meet other people that love cards. It is just a hangout. This is about as much promotion as you're going to hear about it, is me talking about it on a video. But we are doing that again this year. We have a great sponsor that'll be revealed in the next month, I think. I'm going to have him on, someone that's underwriting the whole thing, paying for all of it. And so that is amazing and grateful for it. And he's a good friend of mine. So do you like the get together? Is that
love the get together? That's usually my favorite thing. Yeah.
Last year we had how many hundreds of people?
It was a lot.
300, 350, something like that.
It was the most I think that's ever been.
No, I think that Chicago the year before was the most.
Was it?
Man, I don't count heads, so I don't really know.
You're not even going to release attendance numbers?
I would if I actually counted it. I'm not, I think this year will be the biggest one ever. And I hope it is. I hope everybody that hears this and hears about it wants to come, because the space that we have up there is huge. And we used last time in Chicago, half of it, 2/3 of it at the most.
Yeah, probably half, I would say.
It's a big space. It's basically where they do the continental breakfast area at the Embassy Suite. So it's just an open public area, and we're just going to kind of take it over.
Right.
And there will be a bar down half flight of stairs, and you can go grab a drink and hang out with people like Dr. Beckett will be there, and Chris Sewell will be there, and Junk Wax hero Mike will be there, and Andy will be there, and I will be there, and my wife Julie will be there. How about that? Now that's going to get him showing up. Yeah,
real celebrities.
Real celebrity. That's right. Yeah. People that other people really want to meet.
Not these YouTubers.
So it will be a blast, and truly, that's the thing I'm honestly looking forward to the most at this show, because I can buy cards wherever. I like buying them at the show. I'm not going to lie, but this will be, to me, the apex event for all of us. So I hope you can come, and if you have questions down below, ask them in the comments. I will happily answer as many or as best I can. But we are definitely going to do it. More details will follow even down the road. I will not stop talking about it. So that's happening. So yay, right, Andy? Yay.
That sounds fun. Let's, I'm interested to hear who the sponsor is. Like, I don't even know who the sponsor is.
Well, I can tell you off air, but
okay.
We'll do that later. So make sure you and Michael are there by Thursday so you can be at the event.
Well, I mean, if we're not there by Thursday, we might as well not even show up at all, right? It's,
So then you got Friday, Saturday, or two pretty similar days. You've got tons of people there. Everything's kind of going full steam. You've got tons of signers starting to happen on Friday, Saturday, and then into Sunday. And Sunday's kind of that final day. And I have never been to a national on a Sunday. Did you know that?
I didn't know you'd never been to one, but I knew that you hadn't in a while. And I haven't in a while either. I would say probably like, the first, if I've been to 15, I would say like maybe like the first 5 or 6, like I was there like every day.
Right.
Like didn't leave until it was just over. And like I had to leave. But yeah, like I would say the last, I don't know, last 6 or 7, probably at least, I would say I didn't go to Sunday.
Yeah. It's not that I don't like Sundays. It's my favorite day of the week. No, it's just, I like to get home. I like to have a day to recover. I like to have a day to enjoy the things that I got and put them away and not have to worry about, I don't have to go to work till the next day. I have a whole day to do that. By Friday, usually, especially after the get together on Thursday, I can't even talk anyway. I've lost my voice because I've done so much talking and walking. My feet are killing me by Friday afternoon for sure. I'm just kind of, and I've seen everything, because again, if we get to start really on Tuesday afternoon or something, and all day Wednesday, I have all day. I have had as much showtime as if I got in Wednesday through Sunday, right? It's essentially the same amount of floor time. And so I don't, and I'm usually broke. Certainly.
That's usually by like Friday.
Right. It's a running joke with my friends. Like, how long does it take Mike to spend all of his money? That he's brought.
It's not really a joke though. It's like you usually are like usually by Saturday, you're like gosh, is there any way I could like get like another $10-15 out of the ATM or whatever.
Yeah. I've got 20 left. What should I spend it on? Because I rarely go home. I've never gone home from the national I've gone to other shows and brought money back, but never to the national. I find something to spend the money on. It's like, I brought it here to spend. I'm going to spend it.
Usually by Saturday, if you're buying something, it's usually like, hey, can I like Venmo you some money? And because I need some cash or,
Yeah, I do have to make those compromises occasionally. Okay. So any tips you want to give people about, because there are going to be people that watch this that are going to the national for the first time. And I would tell those people right off the bat, you should absolutely go. If you have never been to a national, go to a national. You need to experience this because it is pretty epic overall. And I would say one day is not enough, but one day is better than 0. So if you can only do one day, do one day, but I promise you will not see everything if you go one day. There's no chance in hell that you'll be able to see everything in a day, but you'll get to see a lot. And if you could only go one day, you should. But for those that have never been, go for sure if you're planning on going. But any tips for those people Andy?
I still think that like even though there are a lot more big shows nowadays, like I still think if you've never been to a national, like even if you've been to like, Dallas or Burbank
Chantilly
or
or
Chantilly, wherever, the first time you go into the national, you're going to be like, this is so big. Like, I mean, because it like even though the number of tables might not be like a big difference between the national and some of these other big shows, the square feet and just like because you have all like some of these newer shows will have like some corporate people here, all of them are there. Like
yeah.
you'll have some of the national dealers at some of these shows, all of them are going to be at this. It's very overwhelming the first time you walk in, but it's in a good way.
I still go to I still go to the national, and every time I walk in, I go, "Holy hell, this is a big play. This is a lot of stuff." I remember saying that in Atlantic City, in Cleveland, in Chicago. It doesn't matter. I walk in and I'm amazed and blown away with the size and scope of it.
I would say like tip wise, everybody always says that cash is king, and I certainly agree with that, but not necessarily for like the reasons that maybe a lot of people would think that. I think a lot of people think that the main reason to have cash is because you're going to get a better deal, which you may, but also if you're wanting to pay like Venmo or any of these other electronic forms of payment, it may or may not work inside these convention centers. And if it does, it may take half an hour for it to actually go through.
Right.
So it can definitely, cash will speed things up for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big, that's more for me to limit myself. It's kind of like if I buy stuff on a credit card, I don't think about the amount of money. When I have to count out the bills,
yeah,
I'm thinking about consciously the purchase that I'm making, and that my stack has dwindled by however much. And I only have, because I do really some minor, like I may spend 20 or 30 bucks over budget, but by and large, I'm going to spend what I'm bringing. I'm not going there and going to spend thousands of dollars more than what I bring to the show. That's not how I work. I'm bringing what I can spend, and I plan on spending it. But it's harder to spend cash, and it makes me think more about I don't just willy nilly just put it on the card or Venmo and just say, yep. And then I end up going home and going, oh my gosh, when I added it all up, that was a lot of money or whatever.
It would get very ugly for you if you weren't using cash.
It would. What's funny is I can tell you at every national, I could pull a card, whatever my quote unquote bigger card. I always try to buy a bigger card, more expensive card. And it's fun I like doing that in person anyway. If I'm going to spend that much money, I want to check a bunch of them out and find the best one, etc. And you get to show it off instantly to your friends, right? In person versus doing a video. And I get to call in people like Andrew, the card whisperer, Nuff Said Cards, and say, hey dude, come look at this card. Or Andy, JT, Eric, Garrett, whoever, come look at this card. Tell me if I'm crazy. And that helps. That's fun, right? You get to do it with your friends, and
it's a lot more fun than like sending someone like an eBay link or something, be like, hey, what do you think of this? Like it's definitely better.
So I can remember just particular cards that I've bought at shows. I can remember being with other friends when they've bought big cards and they solicited my opinion on, what I thought. And I'm like, well, my initial thought is, well, what does it matter what I think? You need to love the card, not me. You're going to own it. But I still like to render an opinion, no doubt. And am happy to see them buy cards that they've wanted for a long time, or, or see you not buy cards that you've wanted for a long time. I've been part of plenty of those deals with you. Mike, should I buy it? Yes, you should. Nah, I'm good.
I could go down a long list of cards that either I wanted to buy and didn't, or tried to buy but couldn't, or yeah.
And I was with you at several of those, I think, during those moments. Jordan
I'll
Star.
never forget the 84 Star Jordan. Like
Jordan Star comes to mind that I really wish that would have worked out.
That one hurts because that was a little bit ahead of the curve on that one. That would have been
You're
nice.
trying to be ahead of the curve, and you couldn't get the deal done.
No.
And it was not enough money where I think now you would do it, wouldn't you? Knowing what you know now, would you have done it and paid the extra money?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be silly not to now, but yeah, you're never going to find one for that price.
So I'm about to get into a topic that's going to sound maybe contradictory to what I just said in terms of encouraging people to go to the show, especially if you've never been. You should absolutely go. But the question needs to be asked, and I think it's fair to discuss, has the National gotten too big, Andy? Is it gotten to the point where it's so big that it sucks some of the fun out of it?
Yes.
For veterans like us, is probably the better way to caveat that. If you're new, you're not going to know any different. So you just go have fun and enjoy yourself. If you've been before, this may be different this year.
Yeah, it has. And, that's really the only reason that I'm so butthurt over like some of this other stuff about like the early access stuff, because that was kind of our way of counteracting how big it's gotten. Because honestly, after it fills up and everyone gets in there, it's not a lot of fun trying to navigate around there anymore. It's hard to see tables because there's so many people. You have so many people trying to sell stuff, so they're, setting their cases on top of the dealers' cases, and it's, it gets to be where it's a little frustrating. And for me, yeah, I think it's gotten too big for me, like, because honestly, there's no reason for people like you and I to want it to be as big as it is, because it's just inconvenient for us. There's no benefit to us. We're not making any money off of the ticket sales or anything like that. So there's no incentive for regular people like us to want it to be that big. Would you agree with that? Or
yes, I hadn't thought about that way, and that's, yeah. How does it help me that it's more packed? And I mean, the dealers would be there regardless,
yes.
And so if it's less packed, that's bad for them, and I get why they would not want it to be that way, but I don't come at it from that perspective. I'm a buyer, I'm a collector, right. So I want it to be more intimate, I guess, like it used to be. And again, things change and progress happens, and yay for the hobby, yay that the hobby's so popular. And yeah, I get all that. And yet I can say out of the other side of my mouth that I miss the old days,
and there's
smaller.
I think through a lot of like sports card content, like there's somewhat of a backlash against, I think, people that think like we do, because everyone says, we're just kind of romanticizing the past and this is actually better for everyone. And they're like, oh, you guys are just coming at it from a selfish perspective because it was better for you the way it was. And that's true, but the people that are saying that are the ones that are benefiting from the way it is now. So they're also coming at it from a selfish point of view. And, it's just those two things are just not going to agree. Right.
Is there a point to you, and you're welcome to ask me the same question. In fact, I welcome you to.
Okay.
Is there a point for you when you would go, okay, that experience, that I'm good, I don't need to do the National anymore?
I mean, yeah, of course. I think there should be a point like that for everyone if it becomes where it's not enjoyable for you anymore. I mean, I think that would just make sense. Like, it's not like any of us have to go. we want to go, but can they make it? Can it get to a point where we don't want to go? I think yes, and it's probably getting pretty close to that for a lot of people. And, I mean, they'll just replace us with somebody else. And, it's just a numbers game for the people that are running it as a business. That's just the way people look at it. I don't think they really care that much about whether or not, I'm there or not. They just care if someone's there.
Yeah, they certainly won't care if Mike and Andy don't show up to a national. That will not move the needle for them whatsoever, nor should it, honestly. That's fine. But when you think about, can you scratch the national itch with a Philly show, a Chantilly show, combining some of these other show experiences that aren't as chaotic and replicate replicate a close enough experience to where you go, you know what, I'll do these other 3 shows, get 3 different cities to go visit and travel to and spread it out throughout the year, or I could do this one show, right? I mean, I think people are starting to have that question, and it's a fair question, and I think they're contemplating that as an alternative.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would say that you can replicate what it has been to us, but you might be able to make it a better experience than kind of where this is heading.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
But I mean, I don't think there's any show out there that I would say is like a better experience than like some of the nationals that we've been to. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think I think this is probably something a lot of people are thinking about, and maybe they don't want to talk about it, but I don't think we mind talking about it, because you have to, at a certain point, you have to do what's best for you and what's going to be enjoyable for you. Because we take a week off from work, and it's a lot of money to go to this. And like I said, you don't have to. So if it gets to the point where it's not as enjoyable, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, then you have to look at other things. And I don't want to do that, but I feel like maybe my hand might be forced at some point.
If you think about, like, you and I, we have a big show in our backyard every 2 months, the Dallas show. I could go do that 6 times a year and literally, drive over to the other part of town and go to a show, right? Yeah. It's huge. And I do that, right? To me, the National still, and has not lost that it's still the Super Bowl. It is a unique experience. But I do think that experience can get soured over time through it getting too big. I think this year I'm going to say it's gotten too big. That's my hot take, that I'm going to end up saying that at the end of this national and say, okay, that's enough for me. I'll do Strongsville, and I'll get my vintage fix at Strongsville, and I'll, go to the Dallas show a few times, and I'm going to just avoid all of that. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll say that, but I'm kind of predicting that I'm going to say that, but I hope I don't have to say. I really don't want to say that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And this is how I would put it for me personally. Like, let's say, we'll just use the last 5 years. So in the last 5 years, the National for me, it's been knowing more people, having all my good friends there. That part has went like this. The show itself over the last 5 years for me has been trending downward, and it's been that way for a little while. And part of it is just the craziness of it, just there's so many people. And then I don't know, when something becomes too mainstream and has too much of a corporate feel to it, it starts to feel like it's more like a business trip than like a card show.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean,
because when everybody's everybody's spending so much. Well, I'm not going to say everybody, but a lot of the bigger social media people and whatnot, like they're spending all their time and resources like, oh, we have to grow this thing and all this and that. And I don't think you and I care one bit about that. And it's, if they're trying to make like collecting cards cool, I can tell you some things about it that have started happening more and more that's I don't think would be viewed as cool by a lot of people. Like it seems like it's more about math, more about comps, percentages. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
is that really cool and exciting? I don't know. I mean,
For
I
some
guess if
people,
you're
yes. For you and me, no.
not, I mean, for the majority of people that care about sports and the history of it and the cards themselves, math is just not really, like it's not up there on.
Well, 90+% of the people that watch this video are going to think like we think in terms of how what the hobby has become focused on that has never been our focus.
And then another thing that's like, and I mean, maybe this has helped it grow and maybe it's exciting for a lot of people, but gambling is part of it. Like they'd have casinos for that. Like, I don't need to go to I don't need to be gambling with cards. Like it's,
Right. Yeah.
So all that stuff is, kind of it's a downer for me. And I mean, I get it. Like there's a lot of people that'll listen to this and be like, oh, these old guys, this whole thing's passed them by, but maybe so. I don't know.
Well, it's funny that you and I can have this conversation, having the experience at the National that we've had. And it is what it is. You can't question our experience. And yet I have a conversation with my buddy Ben, who lives in Austin. He's been on Chasing Cardboard and stuff, and he's been on this show. A good friend of mine, he's never been to the National. He's going this year. And he was kind of back and forth. And I was like, you absolutely should go. Like, yes, you need to experience the National at least once if you love this hobby the way we do. And the way I know that he does. Like, he's never seen it, and it's so unique.
Yeah.
And yet I can also say I've done it so many times, I'm probably okay, if I don't go to another one. And I'm not saying I won't, but if there wasn't any more Nationals, I wouldn't feel like I'm bummed. I would say if there weren't any more Nationals like there used to be, I would agree. God, we sound like such old men. Like, get off my lawn and stuff.
We are, but like I thought Eric put out a good video the other day where he was talking. Basically, his point was don't pass over things that you want, saving money for the National. Because especially if it's something that you've been looking for a long time and you're like, oh, I'll just wait and buy it there. It may not be there. Like everybody says everything is there. It's not. There's a decent amount of stuff there that is also listed on eBay at the same time you're looking at it. Like the exact card, not just one like it. Like that exact thing you've been looking at on eBay for 3 or 4 months.
Been in your watch list for a year or something.
Yeah, like you're going to see a lot of the same stuff. And that was a mistake that I made a lot early on going to Nationals, because I kind of bought into the idea that, if it existed, it was going to be there. And,
well, there was a time before that you would see unique things at the National that you couldn't see in other places.
Yeah.
Now, it's on, everything's spread across so many platforms, and you can buy cards all these different ways and all these auction houses. And heck, the worst part is you see all these cards at these auction houses you can't even buy because they're not coming up for auction for 6 months or something. That's frustrating.
Yeah, I had an experience it's been more than a couple of years ago, I guess, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, where there was a Russell Westbrook 2012 gold prism, and I had bid on it. This was on Fanatics. Well, I guess it would have been PWCC back then. But anyways, I was bidding on it. I was the underbidder. And then I ended up seeing it at that show for like double the price that it went for. You'll see a lot of stuff like that where it's like, yeah, you see the card that you want and you just missed out on one, but guess what? It's going to be, and I don't know if it's going to be like that this year, but that's been a trend for the last several years where it's like anytime I see something I want, it's the exact one that I just missed out on. And if I wasn't willing to pay enough to win it at auction, I'm not going to pay like 2x what this guy bought it for at auction just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. I just had a video idea that I think would be kind of fun for me to do. I don't know how much other people would enjoy it. Maybe put this in the comments too, but I was going to maybe go back and my top 10 favorite national pickups of all time. And I can go back and watch and remember, oh yeah, I got that. I loved, picking that up, and maybe do my top 10 national pickups of all time just to reminisce. And maybe I'll feel and I'll be excited for the show. I'm going to be super stoked, and I'm going to be, this is probably the only time I'm really going to lament the growth of it and kind of really lay it all out there. Cause you're like my psychologist, so you're my therapist, but I'm going to be excited for the show. I'm going to be ready to go.
Yeah. I'm sure I will be too. It's, I think like just, there's a lot of these things that have probably been on our mind for a long time. And maybe we've said them out loud to each other, but never really to anyone else.
Yeah. I remember 2 years ago having a talk with Joe, who now, this was the year before they knew they were going to take over, and they were there scouting things out. And I told him, like, this was Chicago 2 years ago. So the crazy one, right? And it was all hot, and it was I'm like, dude, this may be getting too big. Like, is there a point where this gets too big? He's like, I don't know. We'll just keep doing the best we can, kind of thing. And I said, I hope you do some cool stuff, And Cleveland was fine last year. There was nothing wrong with the show itself in Cleveland. Honestly, it was fine.
Well, and I mean, I get it from their point of view because, like I said, they make money off of selling tickets, and the dealers will be happy because they make money when more people are there to buy. But I don't care about that stuff. like I don't personally care how much money they make. Like, I mean, they're going to make money. That's fine. But like, if they make more money, like that doesn't make me happy. Like,
what if would a naysayer tell you, Andy, and I'm just playing devil's advocate because I think like you do, but so I'm not saying this because I disagree. Would the people just say to you, well, that's not good for the hobby. So that's a terrible attitude because you should want the hobby to do better overall.
I mean, maybe, I don't know, man. Maybe this is just like us, like being older, I guess, but like, I don't care. I don't care about that. Like, I'm not here to grow the hobby. That's not my job. Like, I'm here to collect cards that I like. And like you always talk about, like, your goal is to get the cards in your collection for the best price that you can. And I think that's what 99% of the people that do this, that is their goal. The people that are always talking about growing the hobby, they're doing it, they're talking about it because it's going to benefit them in some way. So they're doing it for selfish reasons, just like you and I don't really give a flip if it grows because we just want to do what we do.
And we would both agree. I know you feel this way, that you said it earlier, that the people I've got, I know that many more people this year than I did last year, so many more people. And I'm going to, hopefully more and more people come to the get together, and that keeps growing. And that's a wonderful event. And just the people part of it really is the only reason I would even go. Like, I would even consider, I'm going at all. I can scratch the card itch anywhere else without all the headaches at a lot of other places. And yet I'm going because I really do love the people, and I want to see people, and I want to see people get cards they love, and I want to say hi and shake hands and give man hugs and all that fun stuff, which sounds cheesy, but it's just true.
Yeah, and like, you know, I have 7 nieces and nephews, and honestly, like if they came to me and they were asking me, you know, about getting into cards and like as far as like, you know, some of the stuff is that goes on now as far as like, you know, hey, should I get into this break? Like, you know, if that's the kind of stuff that they were interested in, I would tell them not to get in it. Honestly. I
Right.
wouldn't not only would I not tell them to get in it, I would tell them not to. Because I don't think the way that people are trying to grow it is good for kids. Gambling is not good for kids. Like, I don't think that's a controversial statement.
But if you ask the kid, one of your nieces or nephews, like, hey, who's your favorite player? What team do you love? What sport do you follow? And they wanted to collect cards because of the connection that creates there.
That's good.
Right. And that is sadly evaporating from our hobby.
That's not a very high percentage of what I see when I see kids at these shows.
Maybe that's a topic for another video because we're about done with this one.
And it's like, I think people need to really think about this when they talk about, you know, how we need to get more kids involved in the hobby. Like, what are they exactly talking about? Are they trying to use this to teach kids like how to run a business? Or because I mean, it doesn't seem like it's definitely not anything like it was when we were growing up, as far as like, you know, we would, you know, buy a bunch of packs and sort them out, look at the stats on the back, put them in the binders, sort them out however we wanted by team or whatever player. I don't see that kind of stuff going on with kids, honestly.
I don't see it at shows that way, but I do see it in my regular life. My friends who have kids that collect, they collect the way we used to collect. They don't care about condition. You know, they're just looking for their favorite Rangers or whatever, and they're throwing them in the box, and, you know, they're putting rubber bands. Like, they are not thinking about the kids that I deal with in my personal life that are attached to the hobby. They don't think that way. When you see them at shows, and maybe that's where you can narrow that down, that maybe that's what kids are like at shows. But I've taken kids to shows that are there they'll be just as happy looking through a dollar box as, you know, a showcase, and they're not flipping stuff. So I would be careful to paint the hobby with that broad brush of I think it certainly infected the hobby. What you're talking about is definitely an infection in the hobby, but I don't think it's terminal for the hobby yet.
Yeah. And like I said, like, I'm not, you know, I'm not one to discourage anybody from doing anything, but like I said, if someone were to ask me about it, I mean, I'm not going to be promoting it. I'll say that.
I agree. You know where I stand. Everybody else knows where I stand on all of that stuff. And I don't like it. That's basically where I stand. But
that's where I stand too, is I don't like it.
All right. We need to put a bow on this episode. All that to say, we'll see you guys at the National. It sounds so funny as I'm coughing. Andy, it was awesome chatting with you as always on the show. I don't know, guys. I got some more episodes coming up. I don't know how regularly they're going to be distributed in terms of weekly, but I'm working on it, and it's not from a lack of caring. It's getting some schedules lined up and some other stuff. But just keep watching your feed on your Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts or YouTube, and they'll
go ahead and drop a teaser. Like, who do you got anybody in the pipeline like that you're excited about?
I'm going to try to get Dave back on Berg, Blue Jacket 66. It's funny because Dave does so few videos now.
Yeah.
I feel like his genius in the hobby is getting overlooked. And so I want to bring him in and just let him wow people. And then they'll be like, that's why we love Dave. Right.
Yeah. I mean, like, who wouldn't want to listen to Dave for like an hour? Like, yeah, that needs to be like a longer one if you can make him stay longer.
Well, I'm literally going to go prompt, and then I'm going to shut up for like 45 minutes and just let him go and just nod occasionally. And I'm going to bring back, I'm going to start. I've kind of just really realized with this show that I don't need to be out there talking to the movers and shakers as much anymore. Although if I need to, I will, but I just want to talk to my buddies who love cards,
Yeah. And I mean,
and so when I thought about the National, I was like, Andy, hey, Andy, will you do this? And you're like, yeah, let's do it. So this is fun to me. This is my happy place.
I think I've already said like enough negative stuff in this. So we'll just add one more at the end here. The movers and shakers, they're not that interesting, most of them, to be honest.
Well, do you have anything positive to say about the National to leave people so they're not just pissed off at their radio as they're listening to this?
I've heard that the AC is going to be good this year. So
okay.
Is that good enough?
I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks everybody for watching, for listening. Please comment down below. Are Andy and I just being, old crotchety dudes, which that's fine. So. If you say that, we agree. And, but I do appreciate everybody listening and watching this week, and we'll be back soon with another episode. Thanks for watching, and keep collecting.
Keep collecting.